Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Gemini for January 2016. Check out my website, anniehelpsyou.com, or click on the link below this video, where you can see more about my new astrology blog and my other blogs, and you can see more about my new course, which is enrolling now, called Create Your Successful Online Business, and other goodies on my site. So, what's going on in January? I'm having to start out by talking about the fact that it's not the astrological new year. And this takes on more of critical importance because of the fact that Mercury is retrograde the entire month of January. So if we're talking about what is the vibe of the month, what is the general energy of the month, and of course we'll drill down into some more specific things, but the general energy of the month is anything but blazing forward. It could be ambitious, it could be productive, because all these planets are in Capricorn, and Capricorn is just that. It's hardworking, it's productive, but that energy is not pushing forward. It's pushing backwards. So we've got all kinds of transits this month that make this a very introspective, make this a very analytical, from the perspective of looking backwards at things, like researching things that worked so that you can get your plan for the future based on the things from the past. It makes it a fabulous time to do your taxes. So if you're into getting on that early, this is going to be a really good month for that. So January 5th, we have a conjunction with the Sun and Pluto. At the end of the month, January 23rd through the 28th, we have a conjunction with Mercury and Pluto. This is part of this story that is being woven about going in deep. Pluto is the planet that rules the energy of the atomic bomb. It blows stuff up. It's very guttural type of energy, and it's very penetrating in the way that it takes strong focus, but it's not really focus into the outer realms. It's focus into the inner realms. So Mercury retrograde is that way too. It's more superficial, but it goes backwards. So, and there's all kinds of other things specific for Gemini as far as long-term transits that I want to talk about, that's just telling this story that January is not a month to be planning all these new things, starting all these new things. You're very likely to lose steam with them. There's going to be delays and obstacles. If you're trying to launch something in January and there's delays or obstacles, then that is the universe doing you a huge favor. You're not supposed to be launching these things in January. And so if you're having trouble with them, rather than make yourself crazy or stressing about it, just say, the universe is sparing me from this. I can't tell you how many times I've looked at someone's chart and they're saying, I'm trying to get this thing going and I'm having all these problems, and I look at their chart and it's totally not the right timing. And we say, it's because the universe is helping you out. The benevolent universe is on your side and not letting you do this. And if you're watching and paying attention, then you can work with the universe instead of working against the universe, which makes life so much easier. So we've got Mercury going retrograde on January 5th, staying retrograde through January 25th. I highly recommend you watch my video Mercury retrograde on my channel, Annie Botticelli, because I go into very much more detail about what Mercury retrograde is, why it's important, how often it happens, which is very often, what is good to do during Mercury retrograde and what is not good to do. But just the basic summary is it rules information and transportation, so it's not good to commit to anything new as far as a device, a vehicle, buying new things. It's not the best to do that. And if you have to do that, there are some things I recommend that you do, which are in that video. But in any case, this is the time when the rugs get swooped in the air and everything that is unresolved comes up. Now, as far as for what is going to come up, it depends on your individual chart, but in general for Geminis, I can see some long-term transits that are showing us what's going to come up, and some short-term transits. So you've got personal planets moving through your sectors of partnership, relationship. So we know for sure that anything unresolved in any of your relationships is going to come up. This is guaranteed by the short-term presence of planets there. This is further guaranteed by the long-term presence of Saturn. Now this is specifically for you early and some of you middle degree placements. Saturn has been moving through your 7th house. What Saturn does, every planet, every sign, every placement has this range of potential expressions that it can manifest as. So we don't always know whether it's going to come in as something really positive and seemingly helpful or something that seems counterproductive and challenging. Saturn gets a bad rap. A lot of times how it's manifesting people associate with the bad side of it, but it has a wonderful side of it. And one of the wonderful things that Saturn has been working on for early and now starting for some middle degree placement Geminis is forging powerful long-term relationships. Let's talk for a second about what early, middle, and late degree placements are, because I break down my horoscopes into these divisions, and if that is overwhelming for you, then I'm so sorry. I'd much rather educate you on something that will help your future than I would to just tell you information that is more general than can be usable for you. And so if we don't break it down into early, middle, and late, then we're essentially not doing you any justice. So I have to take the time to do it in good conscience, because I've seen the charts and I know that there's a huge difference between an early degree Gemini chart and a late degree Gemini chart. And if we don't speak to those, then you're not going to get your correct reading. Okay, so if you're born May 22nd through May 31st, so May born Geminis, you have an early degree placement. If you're watching for your rising sign, then 0 to 9 or 10 degrees is early degree placement. For you middle degree placements, that would be June 1st through June 10th, or around 10 degrees to 19 degrees, middle degree placements. Late degree placements are later in the sign, June 11th through June 21st rather. So, and the same thing with the degrees, so then it's 20 degrees to 29 degrees. So now you know what we're talking about more. You can place yourself in there. Early degree placements have had Saturn moving into the 7th house. You middle degree placements are about to have this happen. Okay, so if this hasn't happened yet, it's coming. And what Saturn does when it's in the 7th house is it tests relationships. So it's either going to be bringing in a new relationship of long-term consequence, or it's going to be escalating your current relationship into something of a longer-term commitment. It's the planet of commitment. And so many people, many Geminis are going to be getting engaged, they're going to be getting married, they're going to be having kids, they're going to be working deeper with their partners on a project. And this also goes for partnerships of any kind. So if you have a business partner, this Saturn moving into this placement is bringing you into a deeper resonance with that partner, or it's bringing you out of resonance because it's testing your relationship. So if you have Gemini rising, if you have Gemini sun, your relationships are being tested because you have Saturn dogging you over here. And why is it doing that? Because it wants to alert you to the problems that are interfering with your most fulfillment within your relationship. So we have, as I mentioned before, a short-term emphasis in January with personal planets that move very quickly. Their influence is fleeting. That's what makes some of the horoscopes different, is these little short-term planets are, you know, just zipping by and they're creating a dazzling influence and then they're passing. But Saturn is not a quick or superficial placement. It's a big, heavy placement. So if you're having your relationships tested, Saturn's probably why. And Mercury retrograde is going to bring up even more of whatever is not resolved. The good news about that is that the relationships that make it through the Saturn transits, the Saturn tests, are so much stronger because of it. And then you can move forward likely into very long-term experience with this person. If someone is coming to you during this time of Saturn being in this area, and this is here for many months, you know, on this point where it is about to move into the 7th house for you middle degree placements, or once it's there for years. So anytime that Saturn is moving through there, someone that comes into a relationship with you that is Saturn based, you better like them, because they are going to be around you for a long time in some capacity or another. So not to say that certain people won't be brought in on more superficial transits that are not related to this longer term transit and they'll come and go. But if there's like a person in chart readings, I call them people of consequence, POCs. You know, when I see Saturn in that placement where it is for you, the POCs are coming, you know, or the people that are already of consequence in your life, you're going to another level with them. Very big deal. But sometimes going to another level takes passing the tests. So major births of relationships are happening. Major breakups of relationships are happening because you're not passing the Saturn tests. But that's okay, because as Saturn breaks off the relationships that are not working, it makes you more magnetic to a relationship that will work better for you. So a better business partner, a better romantic partner, a better someone that you're working in cooperation with on something. for you, rest of you middle degree and later degree placements, the way Mercury retrograde for the month of January might manifest more is with Saturn's influence in the 6th house. And that has to do with your health. If you've been having health crisis, if you've been having health drama, some of you, if you're in the middle like this, you might be having the health tests and the relationship tests. And that is no fun because you're like, can't I just focus on having problems in one sector, please? But Saturn is saying, no, you can't. And why is that? Very likely there's a relationship between the emotional and mental, and in some cases spiritual root cause of your health problems and the difficulties that you're having in relationships. So you've got to get that relationship to self straight so that your relationships to others can be straight. The 6th house, whenever anything's going on in the 6th house, it's really important to note that it's opposing the 12th house. Every time there's something that can be understood in astrology, there's another layer of something that makes it more complicated, but that same thing that makes it more complicated makes it more juicy, you know? It makes it more interesting, makes it richer. So for all of the 12 signs, which relate to the 12 houses, which if you look at a Western astrology chart, it looks like a pizza pie and there's one slice that's opposite another slice. And these houses are fields of experience that we have as humans, and they are represented by the 12 signs. So the 6th house, which is the house of Virgo, is opposing the 12th house, which is the house of Pisces. It makes the 6th and 12th house a pair. So when you have something long-term going on here, like Saturn, for some of you middle and the rest of you later degree placements of Gemini, you have Saturn opposing this house of the mind. The 6th and 12th house polarity has to do with your body-mind connection and how you don't have anything going on with your body unless you have a relationship to it with your mind. So there's an origin in that problem there, but there's also a solution there. And this is the seed of empowerment. This is very exciting. I have been studying extensively for many years the many ways that people can access their body's own innate healing abilities. And this could be a time, if you're suffering with something long-term, something enigmatic, something that you can't quite heal, or you heal it in some place and it shows up in another place, you might have to get your own mind on board in order to get this worked out. And that's not to say you shouldn't have support from practitioners as well, because that's a good idea. But there is a wonderful piece of work called, hold on a second, The Science of Medical Intuition. The Science of Medical Intuition is a CD series, it comes with some books as well, done by Carolyn Meese, who is a very well-known energy reader and energy worker, and Dr. Norm Shealy, who is one of my all-time favorite people. I've never met him, but if I do, I'll freak out. But he's so endearing, I have chills thinking about him, listening to him on the CDs. So he is a medical doctor who, anyway, I'm not going to get into the whole story of it, but he talks about the scientific aspect of alternative natural body-mind healing, and then Carolyn talks about it from the point of view of the energetic perspective. So we've got the science and we've got the energy portion of it, which turn out to be related. And he shows you these amazing meditations to do to access the healing capacity of your body, of your mind. So if you're suffering there, consider looking at that work and doing other things to work with your mind and your body. So what else is going on? How else might this Mercury retrograde and this Plutonian probing come up for the Geminis? Another thing I'm looking at is a long-term transit with Neptune in your chart. We don't talk about Neptune all that much because when it's in one place, it's there for a long time. You know, it's a very long cycle, like something around 140 years it takes Neptune to move around its full orbit. It might not be exactly that number, it's slipping from me right now, I'm forgetting it, but it's long term. So when it's in a certain house, it's there for a long time. So we're talking about really long, ongoing lessons and opportunities. But when retrogrades come, or when aspects to the planet in question come, then it's more likely that the issues that are more subtly happening under the surface will come out and be right in front of you. So for most of you, your early degree placements and your middle degree placements, you have, early and middle degree placements, you have Neptune moving through your 10th house. The rest of you later degree placements have Neptune moving through your 9th house, and we'll talk about what those things mean. So the 10th house has to do with your career and your work and your life purpose. Neptune can be dissolving, so it can dissolve out your career, it can dissolve out your job, it can make it hard to keep a job for some people. And for many people, that's going to be because what Neptune wants from you is to spiritualize your approach. I can't tell you how many techie people I have sessions with where they're like in this like really, you know, left, well, they're basically in a very scientific, tangible focus in their lives, you know, not like the artistic, creative, spiritual type of focus. And their soul is screaming for them to spiritualize their work. And so it's causing frustration at work, it's causing problems at work, it's causing them to lose jobs, it's causing things like this, because what Neptune wants is for your soul's cries to be heard, for your soul's gifts, besides just the fact that you're good with techie things, to be coming through in what you're good at. So if you're not getting that lesson, it's just working in a long-term way, saying you have to spiritualize what you're bringing out into the world. You have to add the breath of spirit to it. For you placements, later degree placements, so that's going to be most of you. Most Geminis have that going on. And you'll see as a long-term trend, many of you will say, gosh, I've been spiritualizing my work over time. I've been waking up to this bigger connection to things and applying it to what I'm already good at. And that's going to happen for so many more of you over time. Later degree placements still have this in the 9th house, and this has to do with your whole view on spirituality. So searching for this belief system or combination of belief systems that resonates, that accurately describes what you resonate with. And so it could be dissolving. Maybe you were part of an organized religion and Neptune dissolved that away, or different things have happened with your belief systems. But that's a long-term thing going up where you're like, what is it that I believe? What is it that I'm practicing? Does that really feel like what my soul is resonating with? Those are all the kinds of things that Mercury retrograde are going to bring up in January. So you can see why I'm saying it's not really the time to be pushing all these things forward, because you have a lot of things to figure out before you figure out what forward means to you. You know, what forward meant at the beginning of the Mercury retrograde transit might turn out to be what forward, totally different than what moving forward means at the end of the transit. So that's a big deal. So those are the kind of things that we have going on in January. If you need some help navigating through these things, you can check out my website, anniehelpsyou.com. You can see more about my personal coaching. I have a coaching package special right now, and you can check that out. And then also definitely check out my Creating Your Successful Online Business program, which is enrolling now. And if you've got some new things that you really want to launch in January, if you can get some of those things going in December, like before the very end of December, that might be a better bet. If you don't want to wait until into February, then try to get some things going in December so that by the time the retrogrades come up, you know, you've already gotten some things in motion that if you feel like you need to get them going. So check all that out. I hope you have a wonderful month. I hope you have a wonderful new year, even though it's half-hearted, not because I don't want you to be happy, but because I don't think it's a new year. And I'll see you next month. Bye.